Let's talk the cut. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cut. Woo!
Good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. It is the 23rd of August. Where's this month going? Somebody please tell me what's happening, where this month is going. Listen, if this is your first time riding by or stopping by my channel, do me a favor, hit your brakes, just pull on into the gas station, pull on into the service station, because this channel is about motivation, it's about inspiration, it's about taking some time to look inside ourselves and see what we can do to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that today was a flop or a failure by any stretch of the imagination. It means that we're just taking a moment to see, what did I learn from today? What did I learn from living today? What did I learn from my conversations today? What did I learn from experiencing today that will make me a little bit better tomorrow? And that's what we do here, because we hear bad news everywhere. We hear bad news on so many other platforms, on so many other channels, and so many other outlets, media outlets. And so I thought that this channel is one where we can just take a look at some positivity, some inspiration, some fireside chats, if you will, just genuine conversation to see, how can I push myself into a space tomorrow where I am a little bit better? And I know that that better does not always look the same way for each of us. Better sometimes just looks like I made it from one day to the next. Better for some of us looks like I just made it from 1 minute to the next. Better sometimes looks like I survived the ridicule, I survived the abuse, I survived the experiences, I survived the situations. So sometimes better looks different for so many of us. Sometimes better, it's just a matter of being able to face another day. Better is sometimes being able to just get from one place to the next. And so I am such a proponent of pushing and pulling and walking people along the path, walking people along the road to better. Better is possible, you all. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop believing. Don't stop hoping. Better is possible. Better is achievable. Better is obtainable. Better is there for you. And better starts when you decide in your heart and in your mind, I want to be better. I'm going to be better. Things are going to get better. It's not always going to be like this all the time, but better is available. I just really feel that really down in my core, in my soul this evening, that sometimes we struggle with what is better going to look like for me. And when is better coming? Sometimes better is just peace of mind. Sometimes better is regaining your hope. Sometimes better is being able to dream again. Sometimes better is being able to hope again. Sometimes better is being able to believe again, not just only believe that things are happening, but believe in yourself. And so I just want to encourage us. I've had a very reflective and not nostalgic day, as it were. That's the kind of day I've had. And I've had a day where I had an opportunity, as I do so many times, to look at myself and say, you often share conversations with others about becoming better. Don't miss the lessons for yourself. Not today, Cutler. And I'll share with you all what I mean from a very transparent place. But before I do, I want to encourage you all. Invite people, tell them, come on, let's talk to Cutler. You know, this is one of those outlets where we just sit back and we talk about what's affecting people's lives. No judgment, no condemnation, but we talk about the issues that we face. We talk about the things that we go through. And I hope that by the end of each broadcast, I've at least tossed out one nugget that we can hold on to. The world will throw rocks and throw stones. But I hope in our conversation, these 1,800 seconds, that rather than throwing rocks and throwing stones, I could toss out a nugget that we can grab a hold to and hang on to that and walk into tomorrow and the next moment with it. All right. I want to in addition to inviting you all to go ahead and subscribe to my channel and then click on the notification bell, because to let you know when I've gone live, whenever I've uploaded new content. In addition to that, I want to invite you all to click on the thumbs up on this conversation, because I want to talk about something that really has affected me today. And that is the thought of possibly being closed-minded. And I had to ask myself, am I closed-minded? I'm telling you, I just don't get up here and chat with you all about things that don't affect my life. But today was one of the days where I had to honestly check myself. And suddenly in my mind, I just heard we may have some of those days where this is a check myself day. And I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to be very candid. But before I do, I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs. Those are the people who jumped into the chat first, those who made the way on over to the chat. And the first three to do that this evening are Annie Cutler. She says, let's ride, get aboard. That's what we're going to do. We're going to ride. We're going to walk together and ride down the highway. Hopefully we have a caravan by now. If not, you all help me create a caravan. I'm just trying to get people to come along and people who can be encouraged and people who can build habitations of peace where they can dwell. I'm just trying. So yeah, Annie, thank you for that. Let's ride. Let's get aboard. And then my good friend Sylvia, hope you're doing well this evening. Sylvia says hello to everyone. Well, hello, my friend. I hope you're having a fantastic evening. And then coming in third place, the LTTC VIP, number 3 is T Cutler, who says, good evening. Let's talk to Cutler family. I'm happy to be here. But you know what, T Cutler, I'm happy that you're here. And I'm happy that you're happy to be here. And so what I want to do is just send a shout out to you. Do you all remember my little cousins, my little cousins, Sloan and Stephen, who were here with me last week, a week before last? If you guys would like to see them again, let me know. Now, if you have no idea who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about, that means you didn't catch that broadcast. You got to go back and catch the replay. My cousins, Sloan and Stephen, who 6 and 11 at the time, they were my co-hosts, and they were the Little Cutlers. So let me know if you all would like to see them again. But here's the question that I want to talk about this evening, because I had to check myself. Am I closed-minded? And I thought I would just share my conversation. I would share my experience with you all today, because I had two experiences. One, I was having a conversation with a coworker who was suggesting that we implement a certain process because we wanted to improve our efficiency. So this particular coworker, well, several of us, we were having a conversation about how to improve efficiency. And this one was giving examples and giving ideas about what we can do, what we could implement. And the two others were giving him feedback. And as soon as they started giving feedback, the first coworker started defending his position and offering and making these rebuttals. As soon as he started getting feedback, he started defending his position and started making, being defensive and giving rebuttals. So when they asked me for when they asked me for my input, I see you all are saying yes, that you would like to see them back. Yeah. Thank you all. So I'll look into that. But now I want to ask another question. Are you more closed-minded or open-minded? That's the question on the table tonight. Are you more closed-minded or open-minded? So depending upon what you think about, you put either closed or open. Because when these coworkers asked me for my input, let me tell you what I wanted to know. I wanted to know if they had all listened carefully to each other. And so I asked the first person if he had heard the other two colleagues. Did you hear what they say? And did you consider, listen to these words, you all. I said, did you consider the possibility that their feedback might improve the process that you're proposing? Did you consider, did you hear them? And did you even consider the possibility that their feedback might improve the process that you were just suggesting? Because from my perspective, I wanted to make sure that he saw what was happening. He was so busy defending his position until he had not realized that they were really in agreement with what he was proposing. Have you all ever had conversations like that? Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody, or have you yourself ever been in the throes of your own conversation until you didn't realize that people were agreeing with you? And then all of a sudden you just have this epiphany, like, whoa, okay, they're agreeing with me. They're not disagreeing, because in this scenario today, it was a matter of my other two coworkers who thought that what the first coworker proposed was a great foundation. They were just giving feedback to build on that foundation, but he was so busy defending and offering a rebuttal until he totally missed the point that they were agreeing. So my question to us this evening is, have you ever been in a situation where you're talking so much and defending your point until you realize that, oh my God, these people are agreeing with me? I wanted to call him separately and say, if you would have not been so closed-minded, you would have heard what they were saying. Because closed-minded people are often thinking that they think of how they can refute another person's thoughts, rather than trying to understand what they might be missing themselves. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where while you're talking, you could just see them formulating their thoughts, already framing their opinions? You haven't even finished what you're going to say, but before you can finish what you're going to say, their wheels are already turning and they've decided what they are going to address. And so you've been talking for 1 minute, they only heard the first 20 seconds. And so what they address is the first 20 seconds of your conversation, and they never get the last 40 seconds. Do you know people like that? Let's hope and pray that we're not like that. Let's give people a chance to finish what they have to say, and hope that they will let us finish what we have to say before they attack us. But that's what closed-minded people would do, you all. They'll think of how they can refute another person's thoughts rather than trying to understand or see what they might be missing. But open-minded people don't do that. Open-minded people genuinely believe that maybe I could be wrong. Maybe the questions they're asking are genuine. So let me tell you what my second revelation was, my second experience was today. And this is when I had to check myself. Have you ever had days when you had to check yourself? I just want to know, have you ever had days when you had to check yourself? You have to step back and you have to say, you know what? I was wrong in that situation, or I could have done better in that situation. I could have acted differently in that situation. I could have taken a different perspective. You all, if we don't check ourselves, who's going to check us? If we're not able to check ourselves, then certainly we cannot stand in the position to be able to check somebody else. So for me, it was a matter of being able to stand in a mode where I could correct myself and say, Cutler, you know you were wrong. Cutler, you could have looked at that a different way. I get nervous around people who don't lend themselves to correction. I get nervous around people who do not lend themselves to seeing things from a different perspective. I get nervous around people who realize or who think that their way is always the right way. Their way is the only way. Their way is the best way all the time. I have a low comfort level for people like that. And today I realized that I start to say it's not to my own demise, but I realized, and I thankfully realized, that I'm still growing, that I can be checked. Because I was working on a project or in an ancillary, just slightly related way, working along with a project, and not much of my input was asked. But when my input was asked, I was adamant about what I wanted to see. I was adamant about what I thought should happen. I was adamant about the way to progress. And I then had to hear a voice inside that said, you didn't listen to what the other people were proposing. You heard the words, but you didn't process. You'd already framed and formed your own opinion. And you all know what I did? I went right back and apologized. We talked about how to give an apology some time ago. I went right back and I apologized. I said, because my response was one that suggested that I was not listening. My response was one that may have been offensive to you. It may have been disrespectful to you. And so I had to realize, Cutler, in this instance, you might have been closed-minded. Come on, you all. Have you ever had any closed-minded moments? Maybe I should frame the question by saying that. Have you ever had any closed-minded moments? And so we're talking about, am I closed-minded? I thought I was this open-minded person, and for the most part, I think I am. But guess what, you all? I saw today that there was still a closed-minded person there on the inside, and I did not like that, because closed-minded people don't want their ideas challenged. They don't. How do you know you're dealing with a closed-minded people? They don't necessarily want their ideas challenged. They get upset. They get frustrated when they can't get other people to agree with them. They get frustrated. They get upset. They don't like to get things wrong. And they are more interested in proving that they are right rather than asking questions to get other people's perspectives. Do y'all know any closed-minded people? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, am I closed-minded? Am I open-minded? Am I more interested in being right or proving that I'm right rather than trying to get another person's perspective? The world would be a much better place if people were not so focused on being right all the time, rather than taking the stance to understand another person's perspective. It's the danger of being closed-minded. I don't want my ideas challenged. I'm not concerned about others' perspectives, but I'm concerned about me always being right. That's how you can tell whether or not you're dealing with a closed-minded person. Another way that you can tell whether or not you're dealing with a closed-minded person is that closed-minded people don't ask a lot of questions. Generally, they make more statements rather than asking questions. But open-minded people, they're going to ask questions. That's just what they do. Open-minded people genuinely believe that they could be wrong. They'll ask a question, but they have it in their heart, in their mind. I might be wrong here. I may not be believable in this instance. And they get that. Tell me about you when you ask a question. When you ask a question, do you sometimes ask the question knowing that you might be wrong? I'm trying to help us this evening. I'm trying to help us because people's lives are ruined. People's lives are made worse just from sometimes simply dealing with closed-minded people. Most of these isms are formed from people who are closed-minded. They are. Think about it. Many times, hate and fear are based on a foundation that's built by people who are closed-minded. You all think about it. Think about what's happening and what has happened in the context of our society. Many of the things that have gone awry, have gone wrong, are built on foundations created by closed-minded people who thought that they were right and wouldn't ask questions. People who did not want their decisions challenged. Closed-minded people. I'm just trying to help us identify. So maybe the segment this evening is called How to Identify Closed-Minded People. Closed-minded people focus much more on being understood than on understanding other people. It's not about what you got to say, it's about what I've said and my desire to be understood. So I don't seek to understand you, but I want you to understand me. That is the perspective of a closed-minded person. A closed-minded person. Do you want to tell me, do you all know any? Come on in this chat and talk to me for just a while. Do you all know any closed-minded people? I hear you all saying that you're open-minded. I think that's wonderful. Do you know any closed-minded people? I just want to know that I'm on the right track because I want to give us arsenals and tools to help recognize them and to be prepared when they show up in our lives. And we wonder why you talk until you're blue in the face. Why you talk and talk and talk and you still can't get anywhere because you have to realize you're talking to a closed-minded person. I'm just trying to help us. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, T. Cutler. Because closed-minded people, again, they focus on being understood rather than trying to understand people. Come on, I know we know people like that. And when you disagree with them, they tend to be quicker to assume that, well, they're disagreeing with me because they just don't understand me. No, what you're saying is foolish. What you're saying does not make sense. What you're saying is closed-minded. What you're saying does not lend itself to being heard and being understood and being being edited and being tweaked. Just wanting their perspective always understood. So, if we disagree, if something happens, it's because you didn't understand me. Okay, you know what? I just won't understand you. And I need us to become resilient to the tactics of closed-minded people. Thank you, Sylvia, for letting me know I'm on track. You said, yes, I know some. Annie, you're right. Sometimes people can be so closed-minded to the point that they want to be physical. MV, I agree with you. I'm right there with you, my friend. I don't mind people having an opinion either, but I do not appreciate being cut off while I'm talking. Absolutely. A closed-minded person will cut you off immediately because they feel that they feel this superiority complex that what I have to say is much more important than what you're saying now. And I don't owe you the respect of letting you finish what you have to say. No, absolutely not. If I were growing up back home in the country church, I would say the devil is a liar. Closed-minded. And then they'll go on to say stuff like this. You all let me know if you've heard things like this. They'll go on to say things like, well, I could be wrong, but here's my opinion. Let me tell you this. That is a classic giveaway. Quintessential closed-minded. I could be wrong, but here's my opinion. Knowing full well they don't think they're wrong. That's one of those cunning and manipulative kind of phrases to just kind of to lord and tout over people. So I can hold my own opinion out there to try to convince myself that I'm being open-minded. No, you know what? You are a closed-minded somebody when you say, I could be wrong, but here's my opinion. Because I want to make them think that I'm open-minded. No, you're being cunning and manipulative. Maybe, just maybe. What do you say, K Sharp? Yes, it's people tactics, saying things like each to his own or each. Yeah, right. I'm not telling us that we should not use the phrase, I could be wrong. I would suggest that if you use that clause, I could be wrong, then ask a question. Don't make a statement. I just gave you all that one for free. as a strategy, as a general rule of thumb, if you're going to begin a sentence with "I could be wrong," to show that you're open to the possibility of being wrong, that you're open to the possibility that there could be another way, why don't you say "I could be wrong"? Follow that with a question rather than with a statement. Paula, you're right. Paula D says closed-minded people always want you to hear their sad sob stories, but don't take the time to ask you how you're doing. Absolutely. Because how they're doing, how they're feeling is much more important at the moment. My feelings, my positions, my experience. I'm focused only on me. And I'm not concerned about you. I want you to hear my sad sob story. I want you to hear what I'm going through. I want you to hear how the woes of my life and gloom and doom and despair and agony on me, deep, dark depression and dreaded misery. If it weren't for good luck, if it weren't for bad luck, I have no luck at all. I want you to hear what's going on in my life. I ain't got time to hear about you. Close-minded. Maybe we just need to do an inventory. We might just need to do an inventory on what kind of people are in our lives, closed-minded or open-minded, because I'm telling you all this, closed-minded people don't add a whole lot to your life. I just need to call it out. Color, how is this inspirational and motivational? Because it is empowering us. It's empowering us to know who's in our lives. It's empowering us to know whether people are assets or liabilities, or whether or not their contributions are assets or liabilities. And I'll tell you this, MV, you were spot on with the next point I was going to bring up, because closed-minded people will block others from speaking. They'll do it all the time. But open-minded people are interested in listening. Typically, open-minded people are more interested in listening than speaking. They want to hear what people have to say. They want to hear other views because they recognize that they don't have all the answers themselves. They recognize that they are not right all the time. I'm just sharing with us because I realized today, and this is one of those tell on yourself moments. I realized that I was hearing, I really wasn't listening. And I had to step back and say, Cutler, you could have processed that differently. Because no doubt the person who was talking to you felt like what he was saying at the time was falling against a brick wall. Closed-minded people sometimes have trouble holding on to many thoughts. They get this one frame of thinking in their minds, and they're just like the dog that is holding on to the bone. And suddenly what they think, their view crowds out everybody else. We're sitting in a meeting, and so now what they have to say is more important. They got their view, their perspective, their frame of mind, and what they have to say, what they're thinking is crowding out what everybody else has to say. So by the time these people over here start talking, the closed-minded person is just sitting there, mouth shut, eyes shut, mind shut. But I'm challenging us. And I am empowering us to challenge the closed-minded people who are in our lives. Because may I tell you this other thing, and then I've got to go, you all. So I hope at a minimum I've empowered us to recognize closed-minded people. Not that we are, but at least we are empowered to recognize them and call them out. I say, you've got to do better. If you're going to add to my life, you've got to hear. You've got to be open to other possibilities. Because can I tell you all this? Closed-minded people lack humility. They lack humility. Because humility will come from the experiences of falling and bumping your head. Humility will come from those moments of falling and scraping your knees. Humility will come from those moments of falling and realizing that I don't always get it right the first, second, third, and sometimes fourth or fifth time. Humility comes from experiences that will show you that you don't always know what you're talking about. Humility comes from experiences that will cause you to fall and show you that somebody else knew a little bit better about what was going on than you did. Closed-minded people sometimes lack that humility. So today was a tell on yourself kind of day for Cutler. A day that helped me to realize that there's yet room to grow. A reminder that for as much as I talk about it and as much as I share about it, Cutler always be open to other perspectives. And I thought I was, y'all. I really thought I was. But today reminded me that I'm ever growing, ever evolving, just like we all are. And I just wanted to share that very transparent moment that we don't always get it right the first time. We don't. But guess what? I'm thankful and I'm grateful that life gives me those opportunities to recognize when the lesson has come around again. You all please do a thumbs up of this conversation and be thankful when life presents the lessons that you didn't always master the very first time. I want to thank you all for spending this time with me. Whether it was in your living room, your dining room, whatever area you've allowed me to come into and share this space with you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do me this favor, you all. Invite people to come on back and let's talk to Cutler and let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. You all stay safe, stay sane, keep your heads up, keep your hopes up. And know this, I really mean this. This is not a cliche. I appreciate the fact that you all take this time and share with me, whether it's live or if it is the replay. Thank you so much. Know that I mean this when I say from my heart to you, as there is and always will be so much love. Thank you all so much. I will see you the next time we are right here, which will be in a couple of days for 1800 seconds. Good night, everybody.